You're listening to New England Real Estate Journal Radio with Rick Kaplan, New England source for commercial real estate news. This is New England Real Estate Journal Radio on the Money Matters Radio Network and online at moneymattersboston.com.
Welcome to the New England Real Estate Journal Radio Show. I'm Rick Kaplan with Eric Wilson, and people are going to have a great show to listen to today because it's only me and Eric.
Yeah.
We haven't done that in a long time.
Easily a year.
Well, except for our annual show.
Yep.
You know,
the best of series.
The best of. But we had all the guests that were on throughout the year.
Right, exactly.
But this show is just going to be me and you.
Well, with the blizzard we had last week, and then the snowstorm we had this week, and also the Patriots parade that's going on today, it was tough to get guests, and everyone's in Boston watching the Pats celebrate as they drive across the city.
Well, I wouldn't say it was so tough to get the guests. I just think that there was so much that was going on with us.
Right. We had a big show last week as well.
We had a big event last week, which was right after that blizzard.
Yeah, exactly. We that was a concern at one point. I know that I brought it up to you, but you did a great job of staying the course.
And I'm glad we did, because this week was even worse than the week before.
It was now there's an extra foot and a half of snow in Boston, other than the 2 feet that it had before. So yeah.
And who would have known the Patriots were going to win the Super Bowl?
I knew. I knew back in preseason when I claimed it. What a great game.
That was an incredible game.
Everybody in Boston was going crazy, I can imagine.
I mean, it just went right down to the last seconds of the game.
Yeah, right? Instant classic right there. ESPN Classic will play that for years.
You know, if you were a Seattle fan and you were already breaking out the champagne with like 20 seconds left of the game. No, from 25 seconds left of the game, and then it turns completely around.
I know, what a ride of emotions. For all of our Pats fans, plus mostly our listeners are probably Pats fans as well, other than our New York fans who love the Giants.
But we want to congratulate them. We want to congratulate the Kraft family.
Of course.
They do an incredible job. Bill Belichick, Tom Brady, and the rest of the team, but especially Malcolm Butler. Yeah, Malcolm Butler,
the new hero of New England, making the play of the year, obviously saving our season. But, it reminded me a lot of the 2007 Super Bowl when Javon Curse made that catch before they brought it up to the goal line. And it reminded me of that David Tyree catch. I thought it was going to happen again, that we were going to lose to another miraculous catch.
Yeah, and that was a pretty miraculous catch as well.
Oh, unbelievable.
But I guess you come to expect that when you have two of the best teams.
Right. It's going to come down to one of those weird plays. It was a pick at the end zone.
Yeah.
I mean,
that throw, Simmons' throw. That was an incredible throw as well.
Wilson, not Simmons.
I mean Wilson.
It's all right. Which is weird you don't know that name. Since your co-host has it.
I just keep trying to forget.
Yeah, right? No, but it was he throws an unbelievable deep ball. And, he was on fire. And I thought for sure that we were going to lose that game again, basically on a miraculous catch. But luckily and fortunate enough that we didn't. And, we got our fourth Super Bowl here in the last 10 years, which is awesome. Or the last 15 years.
Well, someone was looking over the Patriots that day.
Yeah.
Because
Bob Kraft.
Huh?
Bob Kraft.
Or his...
The god of New England, as we call him.
What was his wife's name? Myra?
Yeah, Myra.
She was looking after them.
Yeah, right. She was definitely. And the T-shirts that I want made up are the Star Wars, because they kept calling us the Empire. I think that they need to have, Lord Belichick and Darth Brady, and that would be really cool. Because we're the most hated team in football. If anyone who's been under a rock, then the Deflategate controversy. Leading up to the Super Bowl, it just added fuel to the fire of the hatred of
well, it doesn't matter what the Patriots do. Whether it's cheating or not cheating, they are going to be blamed.
Right. It's a funny thing.
They're going to find something.
Yeah, right. It's a funny thing because we work both in the New England paper and we work for the New York paper as well. And both of those cities have had a hated team. Everyone hated the Yankees for however long because they always won. And I'm sure the hatred's still, prominent for the Yankees, but now New England's football team is right there in that echelon of most hated teams in sports. Along with your Dukes, basketball, and things like that.
But the Red Sox were getting that reputation for a little while.
They were
too,
because they got a couple. But it's funny. I wear that flag with honor. I'm glad that we're the most hated team in football, simply because it means we're winning.
Yeah, I mean, because you're a winning team. All your teams are winning teams practically.
Yeah, we are. We're like the championship city in the 21st century. I also think. Great quote from the movie The Dark Knight, one of my favorite movies, is Harvey Dent says, "You're either the hero or you live long enough to become the villain." And I remember that ring true of the Patriots. When we first won our Super Bowl in 2001, everybody was with us because we were all Patriots. It happened right after the 9/11, that season after 9/11. And now, 10 years later, we're the most hated team. At first people really liked us and everyone was with us and they want to be part of it. And now all of a sudden, you're successful long enough that people try to tear you down. I also think America is an underdog favorite. Rocky Balboa, we've always rooted for the underdog. So when your team is successful for a certain amount of time, you become hated because you're the favorite and no one likes the favorite, which is kind of weird. America is. When it comes to sports, we love the underdog, but we always claim to be the favorite on any national or global thing. We're the number one country, we're the number one this, and we love being the favorite. But yet, when it comes to our sports, we look down on those favorites and always root for the underdog. Isn't that a weird conundrum?
It is, but I really don't pay much attention to that. So,
you're lost then.
But on a commercial real estate note, look at what has happened because of the Kraft family putting that team together. I mean, look what they have done in Foxborough with that Gillette Stadium.
Yeah, Patriot Place.
Great
development.
Is incredible.
Right.
And that is growing in leaps and bounds, and especially for that area.
Right. And it's also, they're looking to add more developments now. I know they're looking to get a new hotel. I'm sure they're going to continue to build on that. And that's also changed the landscape of all of those NFL stadium cities. Like Dallas changed theirs to kind of incorporate a Patriot Place down there with theirs. I know Atlanta's new stadium is going to be designed to kind of have the same thing where you can have not just about football, but the shopping experience that goes along with it and the atmosphere that it provides with all the bars and all the different type of memorabilia shops and outlets.
Now, they were talking about what if they bring a Super Bowl to New England?
Right.
So they have it at Gillette.
The only thing, I don't know if you've, I read into it because I was thinking the same thing. Will Gillette be able to host it? But the NFL has all these stipulations that you have to meet in order, or required to meet in order for them to actually be able to bid for a Super Bowl. It's something like all your ATMs need to be changed to NFL preferred ATMs. You need to have 30,000 hotel rooms available. You need to have the 3 best golf courses. Need to give them free reps.
I don't think we need the golf courses in New England.
In the winter, right. Yeah. Well, in January, you probably could have got it. With the last couple of weeks, no one's golfing, unless you're disc golfing.
But see, that brings up an issue for them, having a Super Bowl here. You have a blizzard going on right before or during the Super Bowl. That's going to be a problem.
Right, exactly. So I don't see New England hosting a Super Bowl anytime soon, especially since, one, it's not a dome either. It's an outdoor stadium. And right, they don't have all the golf courses around, the amenities that you would need in order to supply, how many people came in? They had 78,000 in Arizona in the stadium. That's not the other 100,000 people.
The mayor of in Arizona, where was it, the Glendale?
Yep.
He was saying that, yes, it's going to bring a lot of money into the city, but they still anticipate they're going to lose $1 million.
Possibly, yeah. Well, you got to pay all the workers. You got to pay overtime. They have to get that city prepared in 2 weeks, and they got to do it fast.
So I think as far as the economy goes, there'll be a boom for it during that time. But as far as the city goes, I don't think the city is actually going to
see as much as they do.
Prosper from.
That'd be a good follow up for us to look into, see what cities make off of Super Bowls, or even just huge events. Because the reason we're bringing this all up is Boston has a 2024 bid for the Olympics, and how much money is that going to bring to us?
They say the same thing about that 2024 Olympics. Now I have put out calls to people that are on the committee
nice.
to bring the Olympics
Look
here.
at you having people.
But not one of them has responded. And there probably is some negativity that would come along with the commercial real estate end of it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also the positive things that would come about.
Right. We got to think, one, the schools and the campuses around, they could reuse their dorm rooms as hotels in order to put up people, because we're going to be using all sorts of stuff for the 2024 Olympics. So
I have an extra room I could rent.
Yeah, you do. But I already paid for that. So, no. But you know what I mean? So there's so many different things that will go into it. I know that there's some people are against it and some people are for it. I happen to fall on the for side, because anything Boston can do during my lifetime and host something would be fantastic for me on a personal level, on a somewhat selfish level. But I understand where people are coming from too, saying traffic will be brutal, the city's not built for it.
What do you mean traffic will be brutal? We're used to that in Boston after this week.
I agree. Well, today too, I heard it was 2 hours to get in, because not only were the MBTA was having difficulties, the buses were having difficulties, but also not just the people going into work this morning, but people going into the parade.
But one of the things that was mentioned, that if they do have the 2024 Olympics in Boston, all the MBTA rail cars will be updated by
right,
then.
you have to.
So you might eliminate a lot of that. You might also have some of that extra funding that you'll be able to use to make it even better.
Right. They'll also fix the roads. They'll get rid of those potholes. They'll do a lot of upkeep in order to be able to handle what's going to come in, this huge influx of people.
Well, I also have a call into Mayor Walsh's office. I wanted to see if we can get him on to talk a little bit about that. Also talk about some of the new projects that are going on throughout the city. And maybe I will get a call back from them.
You may.
You never know.
Now that we're going to send this exact show and that clip right to his office.
Right to his office, yes.
We're going to tag him on social media and make sure he saw it.
But we have to go to a break. Before we go to the break, I wanted to thank some of our sponsors. I wanted to thank the sponsors of our show, which is the City of Hartford, Connecticut, the City of Marlborough, Mass., which is a new sponsor for our show, and also, I was going to say the City of Comstack. Comstack is a software program for finding your comps in your area. Also, April 23rd, NEREJ Northern New England Cocktails and Conversation at the Residence Inn in Portsmouth Harbor Conference Center will be going on.
Save the date, everyone. Save
the date.
April 23rd.
Sponsorship opportunities are available, as well as in a couple of weeks you'll be able to purchase tickets as well. And thank you all. Thank you to all of the sponsors of our event in Boston, because that was, first of all, it was great that 99% of them were able to attend.
Right.
It was a little bit of a challenge getting into the city that day.
It was. I mean, what would they say? It was like some people waited an hour, some people waited 2 hours to get across the city, and yet, of the 223, I believe, that signed up, like 185, 190 showed up, and that's incredible turnout.
It was an incredible turnout. So I want to thank everyone that did attend. Also, I want to thank all the sponsors. Our platinum sponsor was Select Energy. Gold
Who's also
sponsor.
been on the show.
Yep. Gold sponsor is Eldorado Stone. Also,
Carlton Cooper, great.
On the show. Our silver sponsors, actually, our another gold sponsor is FD Sterrett Lumber.
Yeah.
Which they have been on the show.
Yeah, they were also. Check out the show. Should be up now from last week's show. You can see FD Sterrett, Chris Alexander, and them on the radio.
And you can watch our show on YouTube now at NEREJ.
Ernal. NERE Journal.
Or just go to NEREJ Radio and you'll be able to find us there on YouTube. You can listen to us on iTunes. And if you follow us on Spreaker. Now, I didn't say Streaker. I said Spreaker.
S-P-R. Follow me on.
SPREAKER.com, and look up NEREJ Radio and follow us, because we're looking for people to follow us so we can now get into or onto iHeartRadio.
Right.
And it makes it even more convenient for people to listen to our show. Silver sponsors, Bucker Plan, the News Funnel, CompStack, and Conquest Capital Partners, and our bronze sponsor, which was New England Restaurant Brokers, as well as Marcus and Millichap in Boston. And we'll be right back on Money Matters Radio Network.
The next level in commercial real estate. This is New England Real Estate Radio on the Money Matters Radio Network and online at moneymattersboston.com.
Commercial real estate can be a risky endeavor if you don't have all the information you need to make an educated decision. Why spend time digging for data when CompStack provides investors, lenders, and landlords accurate lease comps for office, industrial, and retail properties, starting rents, concessions, and more in just a few clicks? The world's largest investors and lenders use CompStack to benchmark their properties and underwrite their deals. Shouldn't you? CompStack. Better data, better deals. Visit getleasecomps.com today.
Rick Kaplan on the Money Matters Radio Network and online at moneymattersboston.com.
And we're back on New England Real Estate Journal Radio. I'm Rick Kaplan with Eric Wilson. And, you know, one of the things that's going on in the city of Boston, there's all kinds of projects going on everywhere you look for buildings, is the downtown area where we had our event, the Downtown Crossing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's changed quite a bit, that area.
Yeah, I mean, right now you can look at the city, everything's changing. You know, with all the new towers being built. I know Back Bay has new towers, Downtown Crossing, as you just excluded.
Yeah, they're actually building a Roach for the supermarket in Downtown Crossing.
Right.
Because there's so many residential multifamily.
Yes.
Being
Projects
built
going
in
up
the
as
area.
well, yeah. I know that, I mean, that's the big thing that they're looking for. We've talked about it, 1,000 times, that everyone's looking to figure out the housing. Affordable units are going in, which is great in order to try to keep the rent down. It's funny, when you hear new towers, new buildings, you can immediately think, it's out of my price range, and then the great thing is a lot of these are coming in are right inside the price range for most of Boston. There's no super Gisele Bundchen, Tom Brady apartments. There's not a bunch of those.
There are a lot of those.
There are, but I'm saying with the new developments coming in, they're gearing toward affordable.
More
as well.
affordable.
Yeah.
More affordable. Yeah. Now you also have East Boston, which is starting to have a big redevelopment program going on.
Right. That's the next hotspot outside of South Boston.
But the biggest is South Boston.
Right.
You have 42 different projects that are going on currently, or will be starting up.
Stage, yeah.
And we've covered quite a few of them. We went to a lot of groundbreakings, as well as some of the
ribbon cuttings. We went to the cuttings. We went to the groundbreakings. We've been to the ribbon cuttings. Yeah, we've spent a lot of time in the city over the past year, going to a lot of these, and they're a lot of fun because you get to see the next step in what they're thinking.
And plus, we judge each project by what kind of food they do.
what kind of deli platter they have on the side for us. No, it's been amazing what when we started. You and I both came in right in the middle of the recession. I think we both joined around 2011 with our company. And
2012, I started.
Yeah, the year after me. But when I came in, everyone was still kind of struggling to. Everyone's saying, the recession's terrible, and there's going to be no new buildings. And in the last 3 years that I've been a part of this company, we've seen just an exuberant amount of buildings going up and projects being pushed along. And so it's been great for us here in Boston.
Yeah, it's South Boston, where the seaport has just been going haywire.
Yeah, the seaport, which is now one of my favorite parts of Boston.
Yeah, it is, and to be honest with you, that's probably the easiest part of Boston to get to.
Yes, I know. And especially for us coming from myself coming from the south, it's extremely easy. You just pull right in. You get off of.
Yeah, plus
15 Columbia Road, and drive right out the back.
If you're coming in from the South Shore or the North Shore, you have access to the ferry.
Right. Exactly.
The commuter boat.
Right.
That makes it easy too.
They did a great job down there, and I know that we had Joe Fallon on, who did the big towers there as well.
Yeah, actually, he just had a new topping off of one of the new buildings that he's putting up in the Fan-Pierre area.
Right, exactly, the Fan-Pierre.
100 Northern Ave, which is going to be I think that's a multi-use.
You're
it's
right.
going to be retail
in the bottom, residence in the top. Yeah, that's and that's just one of the projects. There's 19 going on in South Boston, 12 in the Back Bay, or 11 in the Back Bay.
And then you have the South End as also. You know, you go closer towards is it the South End? Where outside of Chinatown. What do you call that?
South Station, right by the South Station area.
No, you know where you have Troy Boston, and you have Cephia.
Right.
Where the Herald used to be.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know the name of that area. I just know that you have to go through Chinatown to get to it.
Oh, you get off the expressway right on Albany Street in that area.
Yep.
But that whole area is being redeveloped as well. That's a whole undertaking there. I mean, that's an area where there hasn't been a lot of concentration.
Right.
In the past 20, 25 years.
Easily. And that's the crazy thing. They're going to these not so hot neighborhoods, so to speak, and redeveloping them. We talk about, what about Fenway? Fenway's having a ton of work being done down there.
Yeah, I mean that whole area's changed too. Fenway.
Yeah, exactly. And then you go in Dorchester. Dorchester is another overlooked part of Boston. They got 20 new projects going on. So everywhere in Boston is building.
If we're going to talk about Dorchester, I wanted to put this hat on.
Oh, because that's where Rick spent most of his childhood days.
Now I'm from Dorchester.
Yeah, right. You spent most of your days there growing up. Wasn't it your grandparents?
Yeah.
I've heard the stories of how you got hardened on the streets of Dorchester before you moved down and softened up.
As a kid, I used to walk from Blue Hill Ave all the way down to Franklin Field Park.
Yep.
And
get your penny candies.
And I used to walk the penny candy store.
I remember.
And there was, you don't remember as well as I do.
Well, I mean, I didn't remember. When I was alive, there was no such thing as a penny candies. They were called nickel candies.
There was also a pizza place that had a Jewish guy had a great pizza.
Nice.
On Blue Hill Ave.
And a deli to go with it?
No. It's just a pizza place.
I mean, we're famous for our pizza in Boston. We got a lot of great pizza joints. Which is another, as Dennis Serponi alluded to in one of our shows previous, is one of the best businesses you can get into.
Yeah.
For money.
And that's true, and that's why we have so many pizza places.
Right. But Brighton has 21 projects going up. Roxbury has 20 projects in the pipeline. I mean, I can read through the whole thing. It's incredible the amount of projects that are going up. The financing that's been allowed to make these projects happen. It's incredible. If you look back 3 years ago, you would have never thought any of this was going to happen.
But the one of the projects that's going on in Copley, the 61-story Four Seasons Tower, and the 60-story Millennium Tower.
Right, and both of those were on the front page of our New England Real Estate Journal within the last 3 weeks, especially the Millennium Tower. I remember I was looking at that. That's what is it? It's supposed to be something 400 new apartments or something like that.
That would be an incredible place to live. I don't know if I want to live 60 stories up though.
I'll tell you.
I don't know how well I'll sleep at night.
Yeah, but the view would be unbelievable.
Well, for some people.
Well, I mean, there is glasses. It's not like It's not like it's an open space like we were in the Troy building when we were doing that show.
Yeah, but I didn't mind that. I could go up 16, 19, 20 stories.
Oh, but it's the 60 that gets you?
But if I was, and I could look out the window. If I was on the 60 story and looking out the window, I'd probably pass out.
Really? Have you ever been to the Empire State Building?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Those are.
I don't have a thrill to go up that high in a building.
Okay.
And if I do, if I do, I don't want to stand near the windows.
Really?
Yeah.
Get you that? That's understandable.
I'm not a big fan of that type of heights.
I would say I'm okay with those heights as long as I'm indoors.
Oh, yeah, well, if you're standing on the edge of the building, you're not.
Well,
okay,
but like you know what I mean. Like,
you're driving over there and you see the beams of that are holding up this bridge,
and they're shaking,
and they're all corroded.
Yeah,
you know, I mean,
or they're shaking in the wind.
That doesn't make you feel that comfortable, you know.
The only bridge I really have any nervousness is I believe it's the Sagamore Bridge. When you cross into the Cape and you hit those, because it feels like the road was like put together.
Right.
So you're like, doosh, doosh, as you go over it. And that kind of gets me a little like, this is weird. But yeah, I don't have any issues with bridges. Heights more, bridges now.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. So any of those psychiatrists that are listening out there, give us a call.
Yeah, give us a call. So
we need some help.
We need to, well, speak for yourself. Rick needs help.
Well, I need some help.
But yeah, I think we've been very fortunate in Boston to have such a huge boom in construction, put a lot of people back to work, especially after the fiasco that was the big dig and all those things that, you know, the negative side of construction was happening.
But, you know, it's not just Boston.
No.
Yeah, I was talking with Mayor Rivera from Lawrence. They have a lot of projects that are going on out there. Redevelopment, mainly.
Yep.
Sal Lopoli from the Lopoli Company.
Right.
They have a gigantic mill.
Right.
That they've been redeveloping. Also in Marlboro, it's the city of Marlboro, doing the same thing. Actually, they are going to redevelop their whole downtown area.
Yeah.
And they're also looking to bring in companies to go into some of their major industrial parks, which they're right off the 495
Yeah,
belt,
that's what I was going to
so
say.
it's very convenient.
It was funny,
And Quincy.
Okay.
Quincy also has a lot of redevelopment that is going on. And Revere has a lot. Now, if you take that new casino that they want to put in Everett, if that ever happens, now that whole area explodes as well.
Right.
So there's a lot of things and a lot of potential that's going on.
Right. We only just touched upon Boston. We touched upon the 495 belt, but also the I-95 belt over in Waltham and Concord, that area. Those they've done an amazing job over there as well. You know, everyone's kind of building. I know that the Boston's building so people don't leave to the suburbs. The suburbs are building so they can draw people from Boston, or people don't go back into the city. There's just so much stuff going on, and it's going to be fun to look back in 10 years and to see all the projects that we cover in the newspaper and to see where they are then.
Yeah, well, we're going to go to another break, but when we come back, it's not just Massachusetts.
Right.
There's a lot going on throughout New England and New York.
Right.
We'll talk a little bit about that when we come back. We'll be right back on Money Matters Radio Network.
Rick Kaplan and Eric Wilson, right here on the Money Matters Radio Network and online at moneymattersboston.com.
Listen, are you living in a condo or co-op? Do you have difficulty receiving deliveries from UPS, FedEx, or your pharmacy when you're not home? Well, there's a solution. Video Doorman. It's a security system with live on-call operators for condos and co-ops that receives packages when you're out, stores them in a safe package room, and then notifies you about your delivery. They can even handle dry cleaning, pickup, and delivery. But there's more. If you come home late at night and don't feel safe, just press the Video Doorman key fob, and the Video Doorman operator will greet you by name and escort you right up to your floor. He can see you and speak to you and handle any potential problem. And Video Doorman costs only about $1 a day. Call Video Doorman at 888-697-3630 or visit videodoorman.com to receive a free building evaluation. That number again is 888-697-3630. Call now, feel safer, and never miss a delivery again.
New England Real Estate Journal Radio.
And we're back on New England Real Estate Journal Radio. I'm Rick Kaplan with Eric Wilson, and we've been talking about everything that's been going on in New England and New York right now.
Yeah, we're pretty much having Rick and Eric coffee shop talk here today on the radio show of all the things.
I'm finding it very interesting, Eric. You know, I don't get to talk to you very often.
We don't spend all day doing this, but now we're just putting it on the TV, YouTube, and the radio for you guys.
But you know, we were talking about Massachusetts. Mm-hmm. There's a lot going on from Maine all the way up into New York as well. And I was reading something about some of the projects that are starting up in the New Hampshire and Maine area.
Yeah.
You know, it's been a slower process than in the major cities like Boston and New York. But I think they're starting to come along as well because, you know, you have and these old mills.
Right, all the
redevelopment.
Right.
Yeah, that's huge. And I think we're seeing that in Massachusetts as well, in some of these old mill towns.
Right.
You know, like I was talking about prior, about the city of Lawrence.
Right.
They're doing some of that. They were doing some of that in Lowell. And
we also had one of our guests from Maine who came on and talked about, they redid their mill.
Yeah. And yeah, that was
Peppermill campus.
Yeah.
And they redid that, and I'm sure it's trickled down. You know, they're going through New Hampshire now and finding the mills. I know they did, what's the big river on North Shore?
Merrimack
River. Along the Merrimack River, they're doing a lot of redevelopments for their mills.
Well, you find that there were a lot of old mills along the Merrimack because that's where they probably pumped out a lot of the chemicals they used.
That's not confirmed.
It was easy.
Yeah, right. Just dump it right in there. Don't even worry about what's right to the ocean. No one cares. But yeah.
So it makes sense. You redevelop those old mill buildings, because they're all right on the river.
They're all waterfront property.
Yeah. I mean, they become beautiful properties.
They do. They become great views of the river. You got to, then they have like the live, play, work type atmospheres right there, where you can walk, along the river. They have parks and
that goes all the way up into even Portsmouth, New Hampshire.
Yeah, right.
Portsmouth, New Hampshire, they're redeveloping a lot in that area.
And you can find out more April 23rd if you attend the event up there, and you can actually see it for yourself.
Oh,
how'd you like that plug,
I like
Rick,
that.
Huh? You're not the only one who can do plugs, buddy. No, but so I agree that with the construction going on in Portsmouth as well, and you go all up to Portland, Maine, which is having you can find all this stuff out on merita.com for Maine's redevelopments and real estate, and as well as New Hampshire Cyborg up there for finding out what's being redeveloped, things like that.
Yes.
And always check the NEREJ.com for that stuff. So.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Northern New England section talks about a lot of different projects that are going on. Mm-hmm. It's not like a Boston where you're going to see them putting up a 50 or 60 story building, but you still have a lot of these. They have a lot more land too. Right. And some of the areas, it's time for redevelopment.
You would think with all the new energy efficiency playing a huge role today, and obviously with new building codes and new building techniques, that you should revisit some of these things. I mean, I know a lot of Boston, it is still Boston that's built from, the early 1900s. There's still buildings around that, may need to be updated, so to speak, in order to, be more energy efficient.
Yeah, no, I also, at our event, I saw Rob Brennan, who was the developer for Heritage Sands, which is a cottage development that used to be an old trailer park. Right on the water in Dennis, Mass.
Right.
And he redeveloped it into these gorgeous
condos.
Well, they're not condos, they're cottages.
Yeah,
cottages. Well, because they're all like individual.
Right.
I mean, I would say they're just small houses, but they were really beautiful. And he was telling me how they got other projects just like that.
Yeah. 43 acres he just got.
Yeah, so those are redevelop. I consider that redeveloping, even though it's a new development, but it's a redevelopment of
old land.
Old land.
Right.
And some of the old land are in beautiful locations.
Yeah, they are. Well, I think a lot of it has to do with, in the early 1900s, living on the beach wasn't a good idea. living waterfront. You didn't have the windows that could.
And now we think it is a good idea, as we saw what happened in Situate and Marshfield.
Yeah. Still talking about my car. Speaking of which, got destroyed. Thank you, Situate, with the water. Flooded my car.
We now know that Toyota Corollas cannot float.
Yeah, they don't float, and they do hold water though real well. If you're looking to hold water, buy yourself a Toyota Corolla Sport 2014. But
it really looks good in the lobby now with the fish swimming inside.
Yeah, right. Now that I have all those lionfish living in there. No, it was. But hey, shout out to Safeco Insurance. I never had to work with insurance before, but they've done a great job walking me through this process of having my first car ever destroyed by the natural elements that is salt water. But yeah, so. But back then they didn't. The windows didn't keep. You couldn't keep the temperature in, so heat would escape, so it wasn't beneficial to live there until obviously technology caught up. We had new windows, and then all of a sudden that view was what everybody wanted. I want the view, I now want to be near the beach, and all of a sudden those prices rose dramatically,
right,
in like a 10-year span.
But now you talk about all of that beachfront properties and ocean views. Rhode Island, which not many people talk a lot about Rhode Island, but there are lots of beachfront property available at affordable prices.
Right.
And some of the beaches in Rhode Island are beautiful.
Yeah, right.
I mean, especially as you get closer towards Newport.
Right.
But we were in Warwick, Rhode Island. Some of the properties there.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was gorgeous.
It's Rhode Island is such a surprise to me that with all the colleges that you have there and some great schools, Brown, URI, Providence, that they don't have they don't retain their college students as well as some other states do. And and we talked to Greater Hartford and what was the North Hartford, NODO, the North Downtown group.
Yeah.
And they were talking about the same thing, trying to retain these kids from UConn from going into your big cities, down to New York, up to Boston, to find those jobs that pay the six figures, and
but
things
that's
like
also that's what drives a lot of the people to come. And they want to be in, especially young people. They want to be in the big city.
Right.
So for you to get them to or retain them from leaving, you need to have that live, work, and play concept for young people.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I'm surprised at Rhode Island. I know that Warwick is developing that type of atmosphere, that the more of Rhode Island isn't joining with the rest of what New England and even some of New York is doing with the live, work, play.
But I think they're all trying to now not cater to just the young single individuals.
Which I cater to.
Yeah. But they're trying to young families.
Right.
Where you could bring up a family and almost like a city environment, but also a suburb next to it.
Exactly. Give that mixed-use feel, which I think that you're going to continue to see anyway, because I think it's a great idea. I happen to live in one of those. I enjoy it. Where I have my convenience stores right next to me, my grocery store I can walk right to, 4 or 5 restaurant, bar-type atmospheres right around me. I think those are huge, because no one likes to drive as much, especially with taking the risk of any kind of drunk driving.
But I also think that the concept of the big major chains is sort of fizzling out a little. Unless you have a big major chain like a restaurant chain or a bar type of chain, when you have that concept, if it's more to the community, that's what it's geared to. Like the old-fashioned, old-fashioned diner or the old-fashioned bar. If your chain is similar to that, I think it'll be successful. But if you're like a big chain that it's not catering to that, right? I don't know how well they're going to be doing going forward, because I think people want that old home type feeling.
That's
Joe's
a good
Bar.
Point. That's a good point. I think it's funny, we talk about this all the time, that things happen in cycles. Bell-bottom jeans, for instance. But I think the cycle is we're going back to people today, the millennials want exactly what the baby boomers grew up in, which is the mom and pop restaurants, fresh food coming out. I know the restaurant owner because he's here every day. He's greeting me every time I walk in. They want that community feel that was kind of lost in the last 30 years. You
Yeah.
know, where you don't even talk to your neighbors. I live in an apartment
and
complex,
and
I
I
couldn't
think you
tell
get
you.
that feel also when you with the supermarkets and with the hardware stores.
Yeah.
A lot of that stuff is starting to come. I have a feeling
Like
it's
Joe's
starting.
Hardware instead of the
Right.
old Ace and those things like that.
Well,
yeah.
Ace, I think, is on that idea where they kept it all. It's
Localized
Yeah,
almost.
it's all localized.
Yeah.
It's not a Home Depot where you go in and it's just a big warehouse
Full of stuff, right? I think that's. I also think that has a lot to do with they kind of got a bad rap too,
Yeah.
through the Walmart and all that type of
Right.
paying and all those things. So they kind of, even though they're not the same, they got kind of booked end in as people look at them as corporations rather than companies.
But you
know?
can see the difference with the supermarket, where that's what makes Market Basket stand out from the others, because people feel like that's the old time,
Right.
business
I know the
owner.
butcher.
Right.
I know the seafood guy
Right.
or girl. Yeah, they know by names. People want to know names again.
And I know who the owner is.
Exactly, which is
Yeah.
what people want. They want
Right.
a connection, especially when it comes to buying power.
It's
I don't
not
wanna
owned
spend
by corporate America.
Right. I
Yeah.
don't want to spend my money giving money to somebody I don't know or a no-name person. I want
Right.
to be able to go, hey, Rick owns.
Yeah, and he's a good guy. I want to do
Exactly,
business with him.
exactly, and people want to do that again. So I think the millennials are moving toward that as well. The only thing that's different is with online. You know, a lot of people now are going online to do a lot of their shopping. They research your company 5 times before they make a purchase. So the consumer is also much more educated than they were back in the day.
Right, and I think that's why the big, gigantic chains
Mm-hmm.
are losing a little bit of their edge because of that.
Right. Speaking of big giant chains, I know this is way off topic, but do you see that Staples bought Office Depot today?
No.
This morning, that was a breaking news. Eric Wilson just did it. You're welcome, everyone.
Okay.
Staples just inked a deal to acquire Office Depot. And to me, that seems weird because you're buying one of your competitors. Now, who are you going
Why is that so weird?
who you can compare your prices to?
Yeah, well, that's
Now
good
you're
for them.
exactly. Now
That's
I'm
why
looking at
they
you.
did
Hey,
it.
now you can't compare your prices to anybody. So now you're just. So now you're just okay. So who's?
Yeah, but I don't think it matters because now there's so many outlets that you could buy.
That's my point. Now all the outlets are going to compete against you, and they're going to be looking at your prices are probably not as low as theirs are.
Well,
Now you have to pay twice as many employees.
because now you have the internet, the whole world to compete against.
True.
Because of the internet.
But no one's buying their office goods.
A lot of people do.
Besides WB Mason and Staples.
Yeah, but that's all the business.
Right. They
You
own
know.
now. There's only 2 companies.
Yeah,
know?
but
It's
all
kind of like the
if all the
Comcast
business are
and
buying it
Fios
online,
nonsense. Yeah.
It's just you're catering by having bricks and mortar. You're only catering to the families, the individuals, not the business.
I thought, what's funny? I thought bricks and mortars were going to go by the wayside, but it seems like more and more.
No, I think people still like to touch.
I was
the
say
deal.
more and more people are actually, more and more companies are now coming from online only to bricks and mortars as well. They want to do both.
Yeah, but I also don't think you can have, if you open up thousands of stores. Years ago they used to have like a Staples for an example. You'd have one in this town, and then 2 towns over you have another one, and then I don't think they're doing that anymore.
Right. They're doing one in maybe in a county, and then
Right.
one in another county.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we got to go to a break,
Okay.
but we'll be right back on Money Matters Radio Network.
Rick Kaplan is right here on the Money Matters Radio Network.
Commercial real estate can be a risky endeavor if you don't have all the information you need to make an educated decision. Why spend time digging for data when CompStack provides investors, lenders, and landlords accurate lease comps for office, industrial, and retail properties, starting rents, concessions, and more in just a few clicks? The world's largest investors and lenders use CompStack to benchmark their properties and underwrite their deals. Shouldn't you? CompStack. Better data, better deals. Visit getleasecomps.com today.
We're back on New England Real Estate Journal Radio. I'm Rick Kaplan with Eric Wilson. We're coming to a close of. Hey, you know what? I was very interested in this show. We had a lot of good content that we talked
did.
about.
We had a lot of fun too.
Yeah.
Well, this is kind of what we do every day in the office, but this time, we're forcing people to listen to us.
That's right. We're letting you in on our conversation.
Our typical 9 o'clock, we both have coffees, inside one in somebody's office, and we just start talking about all the things that come up. And one of the big things that's come up this week that we've been talking about in the office is in New York City, there is the 421A abatement that everyone's trying to rush to get their concrete poured or their ground broke before this tax, this tax break runs up on June 15th.
Well, I mean, I can understand that because it allows the developers for rental apartments to reduce their real estate taxes on new projects for up to 25 years.
Right, and the crazy thing is that it's not that they think that it's going to end completely. They expect it to be renewed, but there's going to be so much changes made to be less generous to the builders. So all the builders right now are trying to run and drop all their projects in. And Mayor Bill de Blasio, who came out yesterday and gave his State of the City address, he had talked about how in his second term it's going to be more about affordable housing, and that maybe even New York goes above the 20% minimum. They may even go higher than that. There's obviously what do they call it? There's obviously give and take on both sides. People are against it. Some are pushing for it. Some are pulling away from it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that it's going to be what we would consider affordable, but for New York City, I think it's going to be affordable for people that will work in the city.
Right, of course.
It's not the real estate in New York City is a little different than Boston.
Completely different animal.
And you do have a lot of people that live in New York City that do have very high incomes.
Mm-hmm.
And even the people that are low income are considered high income in Massachusetts.
Correct. But I would say that their biggest thing was that when you hear new projects, you hear new buildings, especially in New York City, developers think that comes with that high rise, that big money apartments, the big money condos, and where Mayor Bill de Blasio, sorry.
Well, you and him are like this.
Yeah,
so.
me and Bill, we go way back. I actually met him at one of the real estate expos a few years back, but he basically said that we're looking to push this in order to even out the prosperity amongst all classes. So even though we're building these affordable houses, we're going to try to help all three assets. We're not just the the rich get rich, so to speak, but we'll all get to prosper off these new buildings, this new construction, and kind of going against the Mayor Bloomberg's philosophies in the close of his developments and with his. I'm not. What is it? The Real Estate Board of New York. I'm not sure if they have a BRA type thing.
I'm not sure how it works there either. Maybe we can get one of the brokers or the developers in New York City to come on the show, and we can talk a little bit about that.
Like how it could, because I'm not sure if they have like a BRA like we do.
Yeah, they must have something like that.
I know they do. I know they have a board, but I'm not sure if it has its own name or if it's just done by the city's office. But
we want to make sure people know that our show now is not just New England.
Right, it also airs in New York now, too.
Also in New York. We used to have
two different shows.
New York radio show, and now we're combining the two.
Right, it's basically Northeast real estate. Now it's the Northeast commercial real estate market.
Exactly, right. Northeast.
So, but I mean,
makes it easier.
It makes it much easier for us because we were trying to knock out 2-3 shows a week, and this allows us 1 week to gather both cities. And the funny thing is, a lot of people, what we found is a lot of companies work, whether they work in New York, they may also work in Hartford, and then if they work in Boston, they may also work in Maine. So it's hard just to cover one, especially, so we got to cover all of New England.
As a matter of fact, one of our sponsors for the show, CompStack, they work in all markets.
Exactly. So, I mean, there's a lot of those companies, especially with all the mergers that took place after 2008. A lot of these companies, your Sperry Van Ness, who's now in Boston, they're a global. Almost all your commercial brokers, CBRE, Marcus and Millichip, they're all, either global or national. So we want to be able to capture all of our audience and bring them one show, so they can find out a little bit about New York in each show and a little bit about Boston.
Or they can even read the New England Real Estate Journal or the New York Real Estate Journal,
which goes to press today.
Just listen to the New York Real Estate Journal radio show with me and Eric.
Right.
And, great conversation today, Eric.
I appreciate it, Rick, for listening.
Say
the date, everybody.
I have to listen on the air.
right? Yeah, right. Save the date, everybody. April 23rd, we'll be at the Residence Inn by Marriott up in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Definitely save the date. We had about 130 last year. I expect to have the same as Boston, up around the 200s.
Yeah, we definitely will. We already have sponsors lined up, so people are already interested and are very excited about us having Northern New England.
And if you haven't gone to one of our events, you're doing yourself a disservice, because you're going to most of these events where, yeah, you might have 500 people, but you're listening to a speaker. You don't have the opportunity to do as much networking. You come to one of our events, it's strictly about you trying to gain more business and talking about work and meeting not just your specific industry, but all of the industries that help build our commercial real estate.
And if you saw some of the tweets that went out, some were very positive. Some people had made some great contacts.
But you know, one of my favorite things about after our events is the day after. Because I happen to be the social media director for the papers, I'm on LinkedIn all day. It's open. I get to see which attendees connected with which attendees, which I really love seeing, how many connections actually happen on LinkedIn. And the day after, it's usually, about half of our clients you'll see. And then throughout the days, it'll trickle down. You'll still see, like today I just saw one, and I was going, wow, this is a week later,
Well, we got to go, Eric, unfortunately.
Unfortunately for our listeners.
I want to thank everyone for listening. And thank you if you watched us on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I think this deal is done.